All right, let's unpack this. Today, June 17th, 2025, we're diving deep into an incredibly pressing, rapidly evolving situation, the Israel-Iran conflict.
Right.
Our mission, really, in this deep dive is to take the sources you've provided this latest overview and just pull out the most crucial nuggets of knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
give you a crystal clear picture, what's happening on the ground, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Get ready for some surprising facts, I think, and insights that really connect the dots.
And what's truly striking here, I think, is just the sheer speed at which events are escalating. It's completely transforming the regional landscape.
Right.
I mean, our sources reveal a full-scale confrontation. You've got intense military strikes, significant leadership losses, the evolving, deepening role of the U.S., and, of course, the profound humanitarian impact.
Huge.
So we're here to help you understand not just what is happening, but why it matters, giving that broader context, the implications, all based on what's being reported.
Exactly. And we're talking about a conflict now in its fifth straight day,
Fifth day, yeah.
marked by, escalating military strikes, taking out high-value targets, a very central, very active role for the U.S., a devastating toll on civilians, unfortunately, and these complex strategic narratives that, well, they could really define the region's future.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, but we're going to try and make it comprehensible for you.
Correct.
So let's start right where our sources begin, these escalating military strikes. Israel kicked off Operation Rising Lion back on June 13th.
Right.
And the scale here, it's staggering. Our sources report, over 200 aircraft?
Over 200 aircraft deployed, yeah?
Yeah.
Against more than 100 Iranian targets. We're talking military nuclear sites.
In critical places like Natanz, Tehran.
Natanz, Tehran, various missile installations. It's clear this isn't just a skirmish.
Yeah.
It feels like a strategic shift, maybe towards preemptive, overwhelming force, potentially trying to cripple Iran's ability to hit back right from the start.
Makes sense. And Iran's response, just as forceful, it seems.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Our sources indicate they've launched, get this, 9 waves of missile and drone barrages just this week.
9 waves. Wow.
Including strikes across northern Israel just last night. And we're seeing reports of, notable damage.
Like where?
Well, for instance, at Haifa's oil refinery, and even a school in Bnei Brak. Residential areas, too.
So it's this isn't just symbolic.
No, it's a sustained exchange.
Yeah.
And it's not just about striking back. It puts, immense pressure on Israel's air defense systems, like Iron Dome.
Right. Which brings us to another critical piece our sources reveal, these high-value targets and leadership losses. Big news here. Israel claims to have eliminated Iran's wartime chief of staff, Ali Shadmani, in an airstrike.
That's a major claim. Sources highlight him as the highest-ranking commander taken out so far.
So how significant is a hit like that to Iran's military command?
Oh, it's highly significant. And what's compelling is it doesn't seem to be isolated. Israeli sources also report eliminating other top IRGC figures, nuclear officials too. Overall, there are reports of over 200 Iranian casualties. And that figure apparently includes scientists.
Scientists too. Okay, so that points to a broader strategy.
Exactly. It suggests a targeted strategy beyond just hitting infrastructure. Sources suggest this kind of specific targeting aims to degrade command and control, but also maybe sow some internal mistrust, disorganization within Iran's leadership, which could impact their ability to keep the fight going long term.
Okay. And speaking of capabilities, strategic signals, the U.S. role, and former President Trump involvement here. It's a huge factor.
It's huge.
Our sources show him taking a very central role. He abruptly left the G7 summit, right, to convene a Situation Room meeting.
He did, and he's been quite vocal, talking about potential U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities.
And his statements go even further than that, don't they?
Oh, yes. He's reportedly proclaimed U.S. control of Iranian airspace.
Wow.
He's threatened Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, though adding he wouldn't kill him for now, which is quite a statement.
It is.
And urged an unconditional surrender from Iran. And to back this up militarily, sources detail this deployment of a tanker armada. Over 28 aerial refueling planes heading east.
28 tankers. That's not just rhetoric.
No, our sources indicate that's a very clear strategic message. It signals readiness for sustained air operations, projecting an intent, perhaps, to rapidly neutralize Iranian air defense's nuclear sites, maybe bypassing traditional rules of engagement.
Okay, so Beyond the military moves, the political signals, the human cost, it's just devastating. Our sources really underscore the civilian impact. Widespread evacuation, mass panic unfolding across Tehran. Israel apparently warned, 300,000 residents near military and nuclear sites to evacuate?
That's the report, 300,000. And it's easy to get caught up in the military strategy, the numbers.
Yeah.
But pausing for a moment, the human scale of this, as depicted in the sources, is just staggering.
It really is. And what about the ripple effects of that?
Well, Iran has seen large-scale displacement, obviously. Reports of massive traffic gridlock, severe fuel shortages, internet disruptions, and even a reported increase in stress-related hospital admissions. Sources state over 100,000 people have already fled Tehran.
100,000 fleeing the capital alone.
Yeah. And it's not just Iran. In Israel, civilian areas have also been hit. Missile fragments reportedly damaged a school campus, residential buildings. Even the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv took some damage.
The U.S. Embassy, too. Okay.
Yeah. And casualties include at least 24 Israelis killed, hundreds injured. So the civilian impact is definitely on both sides.
Right. Okay, finally, let's touch on the strategic narratives and the risks emerging here. Prime Minister Netanyahu, he's hinted at regime change goals in Iran.
He has, suggesting that removing Supreme Leader Khamenei could end the war.
Now, he emphasized it's not like a formal objective yet.
Correct. Not formal. But it's certainly a provocative thought to put out there.
Absolutely. And how does this connect to the sort of bigger picture risks, like resources?
While connecting this, analysts are warning the war might hinge on ammunition stocks.
Ah, okay.
Sources indicate Iran's arsenal appears to be dwindling. On the other side, Israel's defenses, especially systems like Iron Dome.
Yeah, very effective, but
they rely heavily on these really costly interceptors.
Right.
So while Iron Dome works incredibly well, each interceptor costs tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Which means if Iran keeps up these high-volume barrages, it could eventually create an unsustainable economic, logistical strain on Israel's defenses, their budget, their stockpiles.
That makes sense. And beyond these big military actions, are there other things happening?
Yes. Sources also detail a more, let's say, covert dimension. Some analysts are calling it Ukraine-like hybrid warfare.
Hybrid warfare? What does that entail?
It involves these targeted, less overt operations, like alleged Mossad drone strikes hitting specific Iranian facilities.
Okay, so airstrikes and drone operations, another layer of complexity.
Exactly. Adds another layer.
So as this deep dive is showing us, the international spotlight on this is getting really intense.
Definitely.
Leaders like Macron, Jordan's King Abdullah, they've openly urged restraint, de-escalation. And U.S. lawmakers are apparently debating checks on presidential war powers, which points to this broader global concern about where this is all heading.
Absolutely. The pressure is mounting.
So let's try to wrap this up. What does this all mean for you listening to this deep dive?
Well, we've seen this rapid escalation. Israel's Operation Rising Lion, over 200 aircraft hitting more than 100 Iranian targets, military, nuclear in places like Natanz, Tehran.
Right.
Iran hitting back hard. 9 waves of missiles, drones, causing damage. Haifa's refinery, that school in Bnei Brak, leading to at least 24 Israeli casualties reported.
And significant blows to Iran's military hierarchy, too.
That's right. The claimed elimination of their wartime chief of staff, Ali Shadmani, other top IRGC officials. Over 200 Iranian casualties reported in total.
It really is a full-scale military confrontation unfolding. It feels like it. And zooming out, as you said, the U.S. is now deeply engaged.
Very deeply. Former President Trump right at the center, leaving the G7 Situation Room meetings, making these strong statements about potentially striking nuclear facilities, even claiming U.S. control of Iranian airspace.
And that tanker armada deployment over 28 planes really underscores that military involvement.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And we've highlighted the severe civilian impact, too. Over 100,000 fleeing Tehran, evacuations, shortages, gridlock.
Yeah.
Alongside the damage and injuries in Israel, hitting even the U.S. Embassy.
Right.
Then you have the strategic narratives. Netanyahu hinting at regime change, worries about ammo stocks. Those rising international calls for de-escalation from leaders like Macron, King Abdullah. It shows just what a critical point we're at.
And all layered with, as you mentioned, what sources are calling Ukraine-like hybrid warfare operations.
That covert layer, yeah.
So this deep dive, it's shown us a conflict marked by, well, air superiority, these targeted assassinations, and these less conventional ops, like the alleged Mossad drone strikes.
Definitely. And the humanitarian fallout is clearly mounting. Global pressure undeniably rising.
It is.
Which I think raises a really important question for you, the listener, to ponder. Given these reports, dwindling ammunition on one side, the reliance on very expensive interceptors on the other, what truly defines the end game here? Beyond just the